On the wide-tiered lawn of Tallinn's Lauluväljak, a choir conductor lifts his arms before an empty bowl of grass that once held 300,000 voices and waits for the wind to test the acoustics that carried a nation's hymns. In a Setomaa farmhouse, just after 7 in the morning, a grandmother runs her finger under a line of print while a child repeats a word in a dialect older than the borders around it. In a Soomaa bog, at first light, a woman in boots kneels over a cushion of moss and lifts a handful of cranberries, cold and red, into a pail. This is Estonia, a nation of 1.33 million people on the eastern shore of the Baltic, where the forest is a pantry and the song doubles as a constitution. It is among the least religious countries, yet it kept faith with one small language and one melody through 50 years in which an empire tried to empty its villages by night. What follows climbs the map from the southern dialect country to the song grounds, through the woods, the choirs, the deported, and the digital republic that refused to stay silent. Mist sits low over a borderland field where the morning is still deciding its color, and a wooden farmhouse stands with smoke unwinding from its chimney and one kitchen window already lit. In Setomaa, the borderland in Estonia's southeast corner, where the land slips across into Russia, the language has a language inside it. At a kitchen table, just after 7, a grandmother holds an open book toward the lamp and sounds out a line of old print, one syllable at a time. And a child leans close and repeats a word that is not quite Estonian. Roughly 12,000 people still call themselves Seto, and the southern tongue they speak has held its own shape for centuries, distinct from the standard spoken in the capital far to the north. The word passes from the page to the grandmother's mouth to the child's. That is how it survives, one table at a time. From that table, the inner tongue moves out into the village, where it is not read but sung. In Obinitsa, a few kilometers on, a semicircle of women gathers in red woolen skirts and heavy silver brooches that hang at the breast, some weighing several kilograms. And one voice begins a line that the others answer. The Seto singers call this Lilo. The lead improvises the opening, shaping words as she goes, and the chorus completes the line behind her, a call and its answer, over and over, until a whole story is built between them. In 2009, UNESCO added this polyphonic singing to its list of the world's intangible heritage. No score is needed. The lead remembers, the chorus replies, and the song belongs to all of them and to no one. North of the Seto villages, the dialect map keeps shifting. Drumlin hills roll low and green, scattered farms sit among them, and a single road threads the edge of the forest with no hurry to arrive. Here, in Soomaa, the tongue changes again, and the change is not small. The Vero dialect carries its own literary tradition and an estimated 75,000 speakers, enough to print its own books and teach its own children. What outsiders call one Estonian language is, on the ground, a chorus of them, each valley holding its vowels a little differently. The road runs on past a barn, a woodpile, a mailbox. The country speaks to itself in several voices at once. The spoken country needed someone to write it down. At the University of Tartu, founded in 1632 under Swedish rule, white neoclassical columns front a stone courtyard that students still cross between lectures. And within these walls, the scattered dialects were gathered into a single written standard. The scholars trained here defended the language when defending it carried risk. And yet, Estonian became a full language of instruction at the university only in the 20th century. Late, after centuries in which German, Swedish, and Russian took the lectern first. The patient work of grammar and dictionary went on regardless, one entry at a time, until the spoken word had a written home. Patient work needs a place to keep its memory. On a former Soviet military airfield outside Tartu, a long, low building of glass now stretches down the runway, and inside, in a quiet hall, sit the word cards and recordings of the Estonian National Museum. Its folklore archive began with one man's request. The folklorist Jakob Hurt, born in 1839, asked the country to mail him its songs, and ordinary correspondents in villages across Estonia did, copying out what their grandmothers sang. By his death in 1907, he had gathered roughly 114,000 pages of folk song. The museum still holds them. The words survived. But a language needs a country to feed it, and that country had to be gathered, handful by handful, from the woods. Beyond the last farms, the ground stops being solid. In Soomaa, the land of bogs in Estonia's southwest, flat, brown peat stretches to the horizon. Cushions of sphagnum moss hold the rain like a sponge, and a single dugout canoe lies drawn up on water the color of strong tea. These raised bogs took thousands of years to form, layer on layer of half-rotted moss, and they keep their own calendar. The people here count a fifth season, a few weeks each spring when the rivers spill their banks and the fields turn to water, and a household crosses its own yard by boat. By autumn, the moss reddens. A woman in rubber boots moves across it on her knees, both hands working, filling a tin pail with cranberries and rolling cloudberries gold from their stems where they ripen close to the peat. The loaf these berries accompany is leib, the dark, sour rye, so central to the table that the word itself also means a meal. On a wooden board, a fresh loaf cools, the crust pressed firm under a thumb, the sour malt heat still held in the crumb. Where the rivers finally reach the Baltic, the land frays into reed. At Matsalu, the reed beds run down to the waterline and bend together in the wind, and across the shallows, thousands of geese lift at once, climbing and turning as one grey sheet. This is among Europe's most important staging grounds for migrating birds. Up to 2 million cross here each spring, resting and feeding before they travel on. For the people of this coast, such a place has always been a larder that arrives on the wind. A fisher stands at the water's edge in the early light, checking a net set among the stalks. And the same margin that feeds the geese feeds him. Pike and perch from the brackish shallows, fowl from the marsh, reed cut and dried for the roof. The table is set where the land gives out. A strait separates the mainland from the islands, and on the far side, the habit of feeding oneself runs deeper still. On Saaremaa, Estonia's largest island, a wooden windmill stands on a low ridge above rye fields, and the year is still measured in rye, juniper, and fish. Cut off by water and ice for long stretches of the past, island households learned to want little from outside. Bread from their own grain, beer brewed at home, berries and meat salted or smoked against the cold months. In a low smokehouse, Baltic herring and flounder hang over slow alder smoke. The fare kept low so the flesh dries gold rather than burns, and sprigs of juniper thrown on the embers carry their resin into the fish and into the bread. What the island cannot grow, it does without. What it can, it keeps. Back on the northern mainland, the forest closes overhead. In Lahemaa, made the Soviet Union's first national park in 1971, tall pine and spruce stand over a floor of fern. A manor house shows white through the trunks, and under the leaf fall, the mushrooms come up after rain. Here, the question of why a modern European nation still walks into the woods for its dinner is answered by the law itself. Estonia's every man's right allows anyone to walk and to gather berries and mushrooms across most uncultivated land, owned or not, so long as nothing is diamonds. A picker moves slowly between the trunks, lifting chanterelles into a basket already lined with them, turning each cap to check its color before it is cut. The father belongs, in this one practical sense, to everyone who carries a basket. What the forest fed, the people kept. And every fifth summer they carried it, in baskets and in voices, to one field above the sea. The baskets came down from the woods, and so did the songs. In Viljandi, the small lakeside town in Estonia's south that keeps the folk repertoire alive through every month, and not only in festival summers, castle ruins stand on a green slope above the water. And on a stone step, a young woman sits, tuning a stringed instrument, thumb to peg, ear bent close to the wood. Each July, the town fills for the country's largest folk music gathering. Yet, the playing never truly stops. It carries on through the ordinary weeks in rehearsal rooms and back kitchens. The night before a performance, a singer lays a regional costume across a table and runs the iron slowly along an embroidered cuff, mindful of the old thread. And beside her hand, a printed song sheet lies folded soft along a crease worn thin from years of opening. The great event begins here, at a table with an iron and a folded page. The first time the whole country tried to sing as one, it sang in Tartu. In 1869, in the university town on the Emajõgi River, the first Estonian Song Festival drew a few hundred singers and a modest crowd. At a moment when Estonians were still subjects of the Russian Empire, with no state, no parliament, and no flag of their own to raise. They had the songs instead. From that first gathering, the festival became a habit the country could not put down, returning every few years, each time larger, the repertoire widening as composers set the old folk words to new four-part harmony. School teachers trained village choirs through the winter, parishes saved for the long journey to the capital, and the festival became the one place the scattered country could see itself gathered in a single field. A people without a country rehearsed, in parts, for the one they did not yet have. By the time independence came and went, and came again, the festival had outgrown every field that tried to contain it, and climbed the tiered lawn above Tallinn's bay. Every fifth summer, the singers come to the songgrounds on foot, tens of thousands of them in the embroidered colors of their home parishes, walking in a long procession through the streets of the capital, past the medieval walls of the old town, down toward the sea. Onlookers line the route. Children ride on shoulders. The procession can take hours to pass a single corner, region after region, choir after choir, a whole country filing toward one field. At the grounds themselves, under the great curved shell of the stage, the gathering Estonians call Laulupidu reaches its full size. As many as 30,000 singers ranged up the rising platform, and a crowd that can reach 300,000 filling the bowl of lawn below. The conductor lifts his arms. For a moment, there is only the wind. Then 30,000 voices begin the same line in the same instant. And the sound is not loud the way an engine is loud. It is loud the way weather is loud, filling the whole sky at once. Among the songs is Gustav Ernesak's setting of an old poem. My fatherland is my love, carried so often by so many that it became an anthem no authority ever chose. The crowd sings it with the choir. No one on the field is only listening. Above the lawn stands a bronze figure of Ernesak himself, born in 1908, who conducted these massed choirs across the hard decades and died in 1993, 2 years into the freedom his music had helped to call up. From his place on the slope, he faces the stage, as if still waiting for the downbeat. When the last song ends, the field does not empty quickly. The singing thins to a hum, then to a single held note, then to the wind again. That field can hold 1/3 people. 40 years before it last filled with them, an empire tried to silence every one.
The silence came at night, and it came by train. In the small hours of the 25th of March, 1949, with the lists already drawn, soldiers and local officials moved through the villages of Estonia and knocked on doors that had no reason to expect them. Families were given almost no time, sometimes an hour, sometimes less, to gather what they could carry before they were loaded onto trucks and driven to the railheads. In a farmhouse kitchen, the kettle was still warm on the stove, a loaf left half-cut on the board, a child's coat pulled from its peg by the door, and within the hour the rooms stood empty and the fire went cold on its own. Over 3 days that spring, in the operation Moscow codenamed Priboy, more than 20,000 people were taken from Estonia alone, most of them women, children, and the old, because so many of the men were already gone. They had done nothing. A farm of a certain size, a name on a list, a brother in the forest. Any of it was enough. At Tallinn's Baltic railway station, the Balti Jaam, the platforms that now receive commuter trains from the suburbs once received columns of the condemned. The deportees were sealed into freight wagons built for cattle, 40 and more to a car, with a hole cut in the floor and a single barred window, and the trains rolled east for weeks, toward Siberia and the Kazakh steppe. The infant and the elderly often did not survive the journey. This was the second such emptying within a decade. In June 1941, a first wave of roughly 10,000 had gone the same way, in the same kind of car, along the same rails. The deportations were the sharpest edge of a far longer occupation. In August 1939, two governments signed a pact in Moscow, whose secret protocol handed the Baltic states to the Soviet sphere. Estonia lost its independence in 1940, was occupied by Germany from 1941, and was taken back by the Soviet Union in 1944, and it would not govern itself again for 47 years. In the seaside town of Haapsalu, a resort of wooden villas and a quiet promenade along the bay, families went to the station and did not come back, and the houses changed hands without a word. Behind all of it stood the machinery of fear. In Tartu, in the cellar of a building the security police kept for the purpose, narrow cells with painted-over windows held those marked for questioning. The plaster still carries the marks people scratched into it while they waited, and a person could pass from a kitchen table to this basement to a record in the east in a matter of days. Some chose not to wait by their doors. Through the late 1940s and into the 1950s, thousands took to the woods rather than submit, living in dugouts under the pines, fed at night by farms that risked everything to feed them. Estonians called them the Forest Brothers, the Metsavennad, and the last of them held out in hiding for decades, long after the cause looked lost. On a slope above the Tallinn coast, the Maarjamäe Memorial to the victims of communism sets the loss down in stone. Long, dark walls carry name after name, more than 20,000 of them, and school children come on weekday mornings and walk the length of it without speaking. The cattle cars carried the singers away by the thousand. They did not carry away the songs. "40 years after the cattle cars, the same nation answered the silence with sound. On the tiered lawn of Tallinn's song grounds through the summer and autumn of 1988, hundreds of thousands of people gathered without permission and sang the songs the occupying authorities had pushed to the margins. There were no weapons. There was a melody. Estonians came to call the years that followed the singing revolution a country pressing for its freedom, not with a shot, but with a chorus, night after night, until the singing could no longer be unheard. Among the songs was Mu Isamaa on Minu Arm, the fatherland hymn no authority had chosen, sung now in the open by the people who had kept it. In a kitchen across the city, a flag in blue, black, and white that had lain folded at the bottom of a drawer for half a lifetime was lifted out, its creases pressed flat by hand. The singing reached past Estonia's borders. On the 23rd of August, 1989, 50 years to the day after the secret pact that had handed the Baltic states to Moscow, roughly 2 million people in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania joined hands in a single human chain that ran some 600 kilometers from Tallinn to Vilnius. For a few minutes, the three nations stood physically linked, hand to hand along the roadside, a line of bodies asking the world to remember a border it had agreed to forget. Two years later, the asking ended. On the 20th of August, 1991, as tanks moved through the failing Soviet capital, Estonia's parliament on Toompea Hill declared the restoration of the independence the country had lost in 1940. Below the castle, the cobbled lanes of Tallinn's Old Town, walled in stone since the Middle Ages and built up around a medieval trading port, woke to a republic that existed again on the map. The flag that had been kept hidden in drawers rose over the tower called Tal Hermann. Having won the country back, Estonia set about rebuilding it as code. Within a single generation, the restored republic became one of the most thoroughly digital states on Earth. Residents file their taxes, sign binding legal contracts, and register companies online. And they have been able to cast votes over the internet since 2005. In 2014, the country opened a program called e-Residency, offering anyone in the world a state-issued digital identity and access to its online services, the first nation to do so. Its first director, Kaspar Korjus, oversaw a launch that gave foreigners a digital foothold in the state without ever requiring them to move there. At a kitchen table in a Tallinn apartment, a woman slides her identity card into a small reader, signs a document with a cryptographic signature the law treats as her own hand, and casts her vote, all before the coffee beside her cools. The Republic, an empire once tried to empty, now conducts much of its public life as a quiet stream of data. And every fifth summer, the stream of data goes quiet, and the people leave their readers and screens and climb the hill to the grass. The republic that signs its laws by cryptographic key still keeps one ceremony no code can hold. The singers fill the rising platform, region by region. The slope below them fills past counting. And for a few hours, a digital nation does the oldest thing it knows how to do, which is to stand in the open and sing. The field that learned to sing in the dark is full again and quiet, holding its breath before the first line rises. By late autumn, the bog has gone red again, and the baskets come home damp at the rim, with berries dark against the wood. In Tallinn, the card readers still blink on desks, contracts are signed in quiet apartments, and the Republic moves through its daily work in numbers no occupying office ever imagined. But there is one ceremony no code can hold.
Between festivals, the great shell at Lauluväljak stands empty. The grass cut short, the tears open to rain and gulls and winter light. The names at Maarjamäe remain in stone. The songs wait in throats, not servers, until July turns back toward the sea. The empty field waits above the sea.